right, y'all. Welcome back to another tasty episode of Foodies and Friends on Fox Local. Y'all know who this legend worldwide before you know it. You may not think that that's happening, but it's going to happen.
Oh, thank you.
Very much so. David Cordúa, we are back at the Lymbar, one of our favorite places to dine, have a good time, and talk to our friends. It's really comfortable.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you why it's comfortable, because your seating arrangements are a little bit different from other restaurants. I've noticed, whether that's intentional or not, you can get any kind of seating you want. You want a sofa, you want a love seat, you want to lay down.
There's a room for that. That can be arranged. Just you have to book it in advance.
Well, that's news to me. So that's no, because the sofas. So we're going to talk about food, I promise you, but we're going to talk a little bit about some other things, drinks, cocktails, spring happenings, polo. But
it's about to get fun.
But the seating is, I think, one of the biggest differences I notice when I walk in this restaurant versus other restaurants, because there truly is every type of seating here. And you don't see sofas and lounge seating that often outside of clubs.
Right.
And so I know that this is a very strategic move by you, and it's paid off. How did you come up with this?
Well, I know this term gets thrown around in development a lot, but you know, the Ion being a workspace for startups,
which is the building
that we're in.
Yep.
It's Rice University. We have the Rice Executive MBA downstairs, Microsoft's first headquarters in Houston on the top floor, Chevron Tech, 2 stories of industrious, which is all startups for the most part. We wanted this to be a place that is someone's third space. You know, we're not trying to turn tables quickly. We want people to come in and have their meetings here, get some work done. And when Rice approached us about doing this concept in the space, it was, my thought was it being kind of like the hotel lobby lounge of the entire Ion.
Yeah.
So comfort was in mind, versatility was in mind. If you notice, there's places to plug in almost
everywhere.
Almost everywhere.
We were joking about that. The one day we don't need power because we're prepared for our equipment, because Chef David has outlets everywhere. But that's so smart, because that was, and you adapted to your building
for people to come and get some work done. Mm-hmm. And you know, even if you nurse a glass of wine and an appetizer for an hour, that's fine. This
really just speaks to who you are as an artist, as a business owner, as a legacy family. And you took a very fervently held belief in the restaurant industry, and you flipped it on its head. And you said, no, I am actually going to make my diners comfortable. I don't care how long it takes them to eat their lunch. Yeah. And that is so out of line in a good way.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about that legacy and that family history, in case you are watching Foodies and Friends for the first time and you aren't familiar with Chef David Cordúa. Chef David has a very important family legacy here in Houston. The beloved chef Michael Cordúa, your dad, has left a very important, lasting legacy here in Houston. And in case you are not familiar with him, tell everybody a little bit about why he was so important, not just to Houston culinary, but worldwide and even to this country as a culinary expert.
Yeah, so he was part of a small handful of chefs in the 80s that was part of a movement called Nuevo Latino that highlighted, Mexico, the Caribbean islands, Central and South America, and combined it with the Nouvelle Cuisine French techniques of the time. So you had Douglas Rodriguez of Patria in Miami, Norman Van Aken also in Florida. Robert Del Grande was part of that.
Shout out to Robert Del Grande.
Kind of taking Southwestern cuisine and combining it with French Nouvelle Cuisine. Yeah. And Michael Cordúa with Central and South American cuisine with modern French technique.
Yep.
And it was something that, the United States had never seen.
Never.
And locally and here in Houston really opened the door for people to think of Latin cuisine beyond Mexico and Tex-Mex, and really, opened up the vocabulary and culinary landscape of what people were used to.
Yeah. And this was really, just to give y'all an idea of what it was like, because, Dave and I kind of grew up together, here in Houston.
Yeah.
Our parents, schlepping us around, you going to restaurant openings, me taking my mom to her radio show or to TV. But it was such a different time back then. Your dad and Chef Robert Del Grande, they were like pioneering superstars. Like your dad, he was on the cover of like magazines, and like he would go to like Food Network, and he was all over the world. And I remember, because your dad and my mom were two peas in a pod. His brilliance, his talent, it was so different. It wasn't, like you said, something that any of us.
And he's a great guy. Also, he's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So what was it like? Because we're in such a different time now, and kind of growing up, because I think a lot of people think, okay, you grow up with a famous parent or a very accomplished parent, and there's no way you can fill their shoes, and there's no way you can match up to be their greatness. But what's interesting is you want to find your own path. You want to find your own greatness. And if anyone is built for greatness, I would think that it's somebody like you.
Oh, thanks, Kitty. Well, first of all, you want to do justice to what was, done before you, and hope to continue as much of the tradition so that it doesn't fizzle and fade out.
Yeah.
So we remind our diners and the staff of that heritage and that history. And I think when you walk in here, even if you don't know the history, you can kind of feel like, okay, there's a story here that you want to peel and find out. What I wanted to do at Lymbar, not necessarily carve my own individual path, but if Churrascos in Americas told our story from Nicaragua to Houston, I wanted to tell our story here in Houston locally, and pay tribute to our roots here in the city. The street Lymbar was where my grandparents first immigrated from Nicaragua to Houston, and this is actually the cookbook that she brought with her from Nicaragua. That's up on our shelf, and you'll see this book in Nicaraguan kitchens and households all over.
This is the actual
all
book.
Over Miami and all over Managua. So yeah, I wanted to pay tribute. This being such a historic, iconic building to Houston, I wanted to pay tribute to our history, specifically here in the city, which has its own story as well. We've never, hung our hat on authenticity, being like, this is the way it's done in the old country, and this is the way it's going to be. We wanted to evolve just as the Houston landscape evolves, and just as the families that come in and out of the city, we want it to be reflective of that as well.
Yeah, and I think you are truly one of the best stewards of that legacy, because you're brought up in it. It's in your DNA. Like, you were little when your dad was coming up with a new world-changing recipe, and then or cuisine, cooking, and then you would see the result. You saw all the TV coverage, all the teams that wanted to talk to him and interview him.
Yeah, and I was corporate chef of our group for 15 years also. So, we have a history of working together. But yeah, from a very young age, I was going on, we would call them pirating trips, where we go piratear and go dine out at like 15 restaurants in a weekend. And just,
here in Houston?
No.
Anywhere?
We'd go to New York, to go to Miami, to go to LA, to just absorb and take notes and get ideas, and come back and put it all out there. And that's where this huge glossary of recipes that we have
Mhm.
come from this, 30 plus years of, of fusing good ideas together. I think people forget that creativity happens when you combine two things that hadn't been combined together.
Yep.
And that's what AI is never going to do, by the way,
All right.
based on our conversation earlier.
I want to talk about this book a little bit more. Are we able to open it up?
Yeah,
Or
of course.
does it, because
Very
I don't want to break
it
it.
is fragile. Might have to.
Oh, it's got pictures. Oh my goodness. Oh, look
Can you
at
see
this
that?
book. Yeah, here.
Look at these like
in
jello
the middle.
jello
Yeah.
molds from the 50s.
Oh my gosh. Look at that.
I see ropa vieja, which is a traditional, Cuban,
Yeah.
Puerto Rican dish. Roast beef a la inglesa. In the era of this book in the 1940s and 50s, luxury meant things that came from a can because it was like imported and fancy.
Get those special green beans out of
Jamón
the can.
glace a la duquesa,
Whoa.
patito a la americana. It looks like a duck l'orange.
Do you ever look in this book?
Oh,
Ever?
absolutely.
I love that.
I mean, most of the inspiration that I get for new items is me, looking backwards.
Mm-hmm.
And because I was French trained in classic French cuisine, and our food was always Latin American ingredients with French technique, I'm often going back into classic French and adding Latin ingredients to it.
Yeah.
Because it's still new to this day. That pioneering fusion from the 80s and 90s that my dad and Robert Del were doing is still innovative to this day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We've only scratched the surface.
And you're still back in the kitchen, right?
Yeah.
Like you're still actually back there getting your hands dirty, cutting things. Whereas I think a lot of people sometimes assume that once a chef gets to a certain notoriety level, you step away from the kitchen and do other things, which is a wonderful and a very good path. But you're still right back there as soon as you walk in.
Well, because my background was in hotels and catering is a huge component of our business here, which requires a lot of custom menus. We're the exclusive caterer at Alley Theater, and we do menus based on whatever play is showing there.
How
cool. So on any given week, we're doing new dishes based on whatever play is showing. So there's English is currently playing right now.
Flavored with so English is playing,
which is a Persian play about people learning English in Iran.
Yeah.
So we did a 100% authentic Persian menu.
Oh my god!
For the grand opening. The importance of being earnest is the next show coming up. Mm-hmm. So we did a Victorian era menu for their grand opening next Wednesday. So we're doing a chicken ballotine and English tea service with English tea sandwiches.
Is this a good place to pregame before the theater?
100%.
Because of parking options?
100%. And we do theme menus based on the play with ticket specials. So just go on our website and you'll find some of our partner events and tickets with Alley Theater.
So that's such a great experience. So somebody could come here pregame for Alley Theater.
Have the menu inspired by the show, a 3-course, and get their tickets through the package and go see the show.
I love that.
And keep the car here and just take an Uber.
So that's a great tip.
It is. And we do have some desserts, I think, coming.
Oh, yes. Let's look at some desserts.
Coming up shortly.
Yeah. Let's go on over to the Foodie Cam to take a look at some of the desserts. There they are right here.
So our tres leches, which all my aunts fight over who created the recipe. It's a vanilla sponge cake that is soaked with evaporated milk, condensed milk, heavy cream, with Mexican vanilla, and then an Italian meringue that ends up being kind of like a marshmallow fluff when it's all said and done. But what makes our tres leches distinct is that it's baked like a souffle. So it has all this air that suspends the milk in it. So it's not like a wet cake.
And it's
really
on the grandma
integrated.
plate.
It's on our grandma plate. We call it the abuelita plate. We top it off with a toasted sesame crumble. Next, you have a carryover from actually the Americas days, which is our tequila and rum bread pudding. That has a rum anglaise and some cherries from our old fashioned and some walnuts. A little bit of a nod to kind of Bourbon Street in New Orleans. I thought it was fitting for this time of year. We also have our alfajores, which are our Peruvian shortbread cookies with dulce de leche.
I think I really like these.
And a very short bread. I can't wait for you to try this.
I love this cherry juice that I'm seeing right here.
Right?
I'm going to go right for the juice.
Get some of the creme anglaise. I mean, it's just like love.
Oh my!
That is comfort food.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness!
Right?
It's like liquid cherryness.
And you really get the rum in that creme anglaise.
But
it is kind of a booze forward
it's
dessert.
not too much rum.
Yeah.
I personally am not a
boozy desserts.
I'm not very rummy. I like a little bit of rum, but not when it overpowers, especially when you're putting good tasting cherry stuff and not fake stuff. That's the other thing. Sometimes the rum can overpower the goodness.
Yeah, I can see what you mean. Like a bad pina colada or a daiquiri.
Like a bad. Where have you had a bad pina colada or a bad daiquiri? Tell me.
I'd like an all-inclusive something.
All-inclusive on a boat somewhere.
Yeah.
Have you ever been on a cruise?
Yeah.
And had the food on the cruise?
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised.
That's what I was going to say. Were you looking forward to the food? Or were you dreading the food?
Well, I mean, part of it is because you're trapped in this environment.
Trapped.
You're
on a cruise, David. You're not
you're not free to go anywhere.
Forced to go on the boat on.
But I'm saying food becomes very important, and the things that you look forward to the most.
What were you surprised about? Because from a chef's perspective, you have to appreciate, and catering, you have to appreciate how hard that is to do.
I was impressed. I went on a Carnival cruise with my wife's family. There was about 18 of us.
Yep. Oh, that's a good idea.
And it was a great idea.
Yeah.
And I was pleasantly surprised by the quality of the food at that scale. Feeding that many people all at once.
At the same time.
Watching the kitchen operation. I went back in the kitchen, obviously.
That's what I was wondering if you were fascinated by that.
It was amazing. It was a beautiful thing to watch.
Really?
And I've worked in some huge hotels. Nothing like the scale.
I wonder if they learned from the Chick-fil-A. Because you always hear how good they are and coordinated service.
It's machinery on a different level, but it's also a sheer number of bodies.
Yeah. In a tight space.
Actually, not as tight as you think.
Oh.
I thought it was going to be claustrophobic in the kitchens. Not at all.
Interesting.
Really spacious, really comfortable, very clean. Obviously, everything bolted down and
I have a table. My grandparents they had an apartment in London, and so they would take the boat back and forth. When my mother was little, the QE2 is kind of a famous boat. But my mother, she actually learned to ride a bike on these transports going back and forth, taking them. But my grandfather was a big chess player, and the chess tables were bolted into the board. And he wanted the table. He said, "I don't care. I'm going to buy the table." So I have this old chess table from the QE2, and you can see the bolts in the bottom.
That's where your poker chess thing
starts.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Early.
I get it now.
Dave going real deep. Do we have another? Oh, we do. We have my cookies.
Those are the alfajores. So these are often, the closer of any of our catered events.
Yep.
Or with your check. It's a shortbread cookie with dulce de leche. Dulce de leche is made by cooking condensed milk traditionally in the can of condensed milk. You boil the can and it caramelizes inside of the can. And it's this you've had dulce de leche probably in ice cream or as a topping.
Yep.
But it's just this wonderfully rich filling.
I just had an idea for you.
I'll take it.
You're at Alley Theater. You're at Polo. You should hit up Carnival and get them to serve Lymbar food when they leave Galveston.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
would love anything.
the Lymbar at sea.
I became a fan of cruise ships. Yeah.
All right, you gotta have
Sign
fun
me up.
too.
Oh, absolutely. It's,
This happens at Fox
but
too.
you got to do the whole thing in your mouth.
If y'all watch Fox 26 in the mornings or in the evenings when we do food segments, afterwards, what you don't see is the producers and the engineers, they run to us because they see this stuff.
Oh, I see the team strategically located. They know where to stand.
Oh yeah. And if there's lobster,
If the lobsters, I see the lobsters
it
already gone.
disappears.
Yeah.
All right, so what are your standard operating hours in case, and let's say you have we got one more dessert. Okay, let's look at the one more dessert.
Oh,
And
you
we'll
don't
run
want to
through
miss
your-
this one.
Okay,
Neither
yeah.
do I. I'm gonna get a fork.
Oh, here's a fork right here. Oh.
So, lastly, this is our dark chocolate tart.
Mhm.
So it's a flourless chocolate tart with a bourbon goat's milk caramel. So the dulce de leche is technically a cajeta, but in Mexico, a cajeta has to be made with goat's milk. So we take bourbon, which we have a private select bourbon barrel, and make a caramel bourbon and goat's milk reduction. That is the sauce with candied pecans and some mascarpone cream. I cannot wait for you to try this.
Mascarpone. I love the flourless aspect too.
Me too.
Yeah.
Well, because it makes it just fudgy and dense. We're not cutting the chocolate with anything. It's just like truffle.
Yeah. Oh.
So try the sauce first by itself. Again,
you want to try sauce?
not
He's like he's got his fork.
not
I
too
want some sauce.
boozy.
Let me go there.
The cream helps pick it up.
Right. Yes.
That's my favorite thing.
Hold on.
And warm, it's even better.
Let me ask you a question about this sauce.
Yeah.
Where else are you using this sauce? This could go in a drink. This goes in
Isn't it amazing?
This is a polo drink and a half.
I actually learned this sauce when I worked in Sonoma at a restaurant in Santa Rosa called Popina. And the chef that I was with made this goat's milk and goat cheese is abundant in Napa and Sonoma.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something I brought from there. It's not Mexican at all, but it happens to work because
I haven't tasted a combination like this, and you can really tell the difference. It's almost a little bit nutty. I taste a little bit of nuttiness in it, and I don't know how.
it makes sense. It's the goat's milk. It's a little more earthy.
Mm-hmm. But
The nuttiness comes from reducing the cream. It develops these sugars, kind of like brown butter has a nuttiness.
Mhm.
That's from reducing
interesting
the goat's milk.
things that.
And then you
learn.
have some actual nuts here.
I mean, this is a very, it's very indicative of your classic French training and also your classic training from your dad too, because that training from your dad growing up and watching him and just as a culinary family that was so iconic here in Houston.
Watching him eat and how he thought about putting flavors and
Yeah.
and
How did
food
that
together.
influence you? Yeah.
Oh, it's in everything.
Well, it is so fun getting a chance to talk to you, and it's so fun getting a chance to talk about so many of the amazing things that are great in Houston, about Houston's culinary scene, and you are such an important part of that. So please stay here and keep doing what you're doing.
Thanks. I like it here.
This is a good place.
I don't know how else to be other than a Houstonian.
This is true. Well, I think being a Houstonian is the best thing in the world. And that is why we're just going to keep eating and drinking and reminding everybody to stay tuned to Fox 26 and Fox Local for all
Cheers,
of your
y'all.
foodie coverage. I don't know. Sometimes we get a little wild, y'all. So we'll see you next time.
Salud.
You got to drink. I'm drinking.